Hello, my name is Kyle, and this is my conservative take. This is a live stream that I'm going to do real quickly that I've been meaning to do because, as you can see behind me and from the thumbnail, this is going to be based on the Van Jones comment that he made prior to this weekend. And I wanted to do this because there's been so much stuff that's been going on with the pandemic, obviously, but then, of course, what's going on in Minneapolis and Minnesota. And the deal is this. Look, I don't have any direct comments on that right now. I'm kind of waiting to see everything play out. Obviously, it's a tragic event. Our country is, in some parts, literally burning, and that's a whole nother subject matter. But I want to focus on Van Jones's comments because this comment could have been put out today, 4 years ago, 5 years ago. It's really what I consider a evergreen type statement, meaning it's a statement that can be put any point in time and still be effectively true. And the comments are basically dealing with, well, I'm going to read this article real quickly, and I'm going to give a quick brief of Van Jones and who he is. And I'm going to show the complete clip. I have that here lined up. And then I'm going to give you my opinion on it. And the point of it that I really want to nail home, which has a lot less to do with what's going on this weekend, but it triggered his response in doing so. So let's take a look at this article here. It's going to be pretty much the entire quote. So I'm going to jump into the quote right to when the article decides to quote the video. So it says here, the title is, this is from Town Hall, Courtney O'Brien, Van Jones, Black people should be afraid of white Hillary supporters. Well, that's a little bit misleading to be fair, but in some ways it's exactly what he said. And I'm going to get into that in a second. Okay, so Van Jones is basically a pundit at CNN, and he was famous for other things he's done. But he made the comment on election night about this was a white lash back on the Black community. He got a lot of headlines for that. But Van Jones is not a dumb person. And I have some respect for him because he's one of the few pundits you see out there that are on the left that actually have given Trump any kind of credit and even worked with him on bipartisan type stuff, particularly with the crime bill. He and Jared Kushner and Ivanka and a whole team of Democrats and Republicans got together to get this crime bill passed, crime bill reform. And that's something that's been lauded by both sides. Okay, so, but again, he goes off and says things that I don't agree with. But he's one of these people that I feel that is a true believer. He believes what he feels. And similar to the video that Candace did with Hawk Newsom of the Black Lives Matter in New York. And believe it or not, even like AOC, even though you don't agree with what she says most of the time, if not all the time, she believes what she says and she's able and willing to engage in people. I mean, she even had a debate with Ted Cruz. She's been in town halls and she stopped doing that, but she tried early on, which means that she at least was trying to engage and she felt that what she believed was true. So why am I saying all this? Because what I feel Van Jones is doing in this comment is something that he felt is true. And I think it rings in something, like I said before in my comment out on this, rings true to what is really the issue with racism in this country. It has a lot more to do than just skin color. So let's take a look at this. So this is Courtney O'Brien. She says, CNN commentator Van Jones never one to shy away from his opinions, provided another of his infamous hot takes on Network Friday. Everyone is talking about race. I got a fly right here. Let me get out of here. Live TV, right? You can't mess with it. I can't have that fly there. Okay. All right, let me start over. Everyone is talking about race at the moment because an African-American man, George Floyd, was killed by police officers in Minneapolis last week. And the city is on fire with rioters and looters, pillaging the city, claiming that Floyd was killed because of the color of his skin. In the context of racial division in this country, Van Jones made a surprising statement. And I'm going to play the clip here and let you see for yourself. Here's the whole clip.
Tired of Van Jones saying we can have a bipartisan solution. They're tired of people like me. They're tired of people saying over and over again that we're just basically one bill away or one election away from some progress. It's not the racist white person who's in the Ku Klux Klan that we have to worry about. It's the white liberal Hillary Clinton supporter walking her dog in Central Park who would tell you right now, people like that, oh, I don't see race. Race is no big deal to me. I see us all as the same. I give to charities. But the minute she sees a black man who she does not respect or who she has a slight thought against. She weaponized race like she had been trained by the Aryan nation. A Klans member could not have been better trained to pick up the police and pick up her phone and tell the police it's a black man, African-American man, come get him. So even the most liberal, well-intentioned white person has a virus in his or her brain that can be activated at an instant.
So he said the last part of there is a virus that's inside every person, I'm paraphrasing, that can be activated at the spur of the moment. So basically what he's talking about the situation with the woman, the white woman in the park. She saw a black man and she basically went off on him and threatened to call the cops on him. And so he's talking about that particular video. But essentially what he's basically saying is that it doesn't really matter if you are white or black, or if you're a Republican, or if you're Democrat, conservative or liberal, that you can have the element of racism inside of you. Now, let me just first say, before I get into this, I'm not really going to condone what he's saying on its foundation, but what he's saying something that is, he's seeing the evidence of something that's true, but in my opinion, he's coming to it with the wrong conclusion. In other words, he's coming to it he's seeing evidence of something, but he's coming at it with the wrong conclusion of the results of it. And so what I think Van Jones and a lot of black people, myself in particular, early on when I was coming through the conservative movement, coming out of being from a liberal environment, thinking from a liberal environment, from a leftist environment, going to college and being even more indoctrinated into that. My senior year was the Rodney King summer, so I know all about that. And the deal is that people who have and I'm going to tiptoe around this, but who have a spiritual base with Christianity or the Bible, or they feel there's a higher power and there's a certain element that's driving this world through a greater power. I say God, some people may say other things. Sometimes have a hard time reconciling that morality from the Bible, in my opinion, I'll say the Bible, from what's going on in real life, and reconciling those two differences. They'll see the parties saying one thing, we agree one thing, but then they realize that in their own moral fiber, that's not what they believe. And I think, I'm not sure if this is how what Van Jones feels, but a lot of times you have that conflict with black conservatives, and it's only until they go over to the conservative party or to the Republican Party are they able to really reconcile that, because it fits more in line with their already preconceived and internal spiritual morality and what's been implanted there by God himself. And so that may be a little bit nuanced and crazy, in terms of what I'm trying to say, but I'm going to have a point here in a second. And that's this, is that sin is a problem across the board. And racism is a sin. It's a condition of humanity. And so what Van Jones is saying is he sees white liberals who come at it, well, I don't see race, and I this and I this, and I like black people. I have black friends, all this. But yet the moment something happens, they revert back into a situation or into themselves where they want to be racist or act on a racist thought or action in order to better themselves, get themselves out of position of where they are, or whatever their motivation is. And so that's what Van Jones is saying. He's calling it a virus. I'm calling it sin. It's two people looking at the same thing and coming to different conclusions. All right. And so that's something that you don't hear too much, because the narrative you're hearing now is that it's always white conservatives, white men, whatever. They're playing this social justice warrior, this identity politics game, which basically says that if you fit in this particular class or this particular group, you are that way. Social justice warrior or identity politics simply says, especially when you're dealing with a racial line, it deals with saying that you don't matter more than your group. In other words, if I am in a particular group of black people or white people or Asian people or disability people or whatever they want to put you in, you have to fit in those categorizations of those particular groups. Who determines that category? That is the big question, right? Because I would say this whole approach is racist, because someone's got to pull the strings and say, hey, okay, well, black people, you feel this way. Oh, because, if you speak too well, if you go to school, you get good grades, if you want to be accomplished, if you want to wear your pants above your waist, if you want to listen to classical music, you can't be black. And that's the kind of thing. And you can take that same paradigm and push it across many other groups that keeps us divided. It's ridiculous. But from the worldview that I'm coming from, dealing with all men are created equal, all women are created equal, all people are created equal, we are endowed by our rights that are given by our creator. And that was the foundation of this country. And I believe personally, that's one of the reasons why the left wants to come after white people, because they identify them with America. They're a majority race at this point, and they identify them as the people that founded this country for the most part. And they would say, well, let's attack them because they're the easy target. Okay. And so that's kind of what I want to say. I don't have anything more formal to say than that. I have a question with you on this. This was a last minute type of deal. I wanted to do this before I went off on a picnic that I'm about to do right now. But I want to put this out there again for the reasons I mentioned. I'm going to come back with something else. Also talk about something about worldviews. I'm putting something together on that. So this will make more sense in that context of it. But if I'm rambling, let me know in the comments below. If it was stupid, let me know in the comments below. If it makes sense, give me a thumbs up, a like, hit the subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any future content. This is the conservative take. We take culture, TV, movies, and we filter it right. And we do things in a way that we want to make it so palatable to people on both sides and not be overly critical in one area, but it's getting more and more difficult not to do that. So as always, hope you like this video. And as always, click the video link below for any more content that we have available for you. And as always, stay awesome, and I'll check you out next time.